Hello and welcome to Conversation Series. This is a series of interviews we are recording on site in person here in Miami. We are here for the Air Cargo Forum by TIACA, and I have with me Michael Teoh. Michael is the head of strategy at CargoTech. Michael, great to have you for this interview.
Thank you, Reji. It's a pleasure.
Michael, you are the brand new in the CargoTech team. Just a few days back, you joined the team in Kuala Lumpur. What's your brief to you from CargoTech, and why did you pick up this job?
Oh, okay. So firstly, it's a pleasure to be here. This role over here, it's something that for me, started off my career in first in Asia, the passenger side of the business. Um, Working for world's best low-cost airline back then. Joined Qatar Airways after that in the cargo division. Also the world's best, and I think CargoTech. Speaking to Cedric, when he knew that because of family reasons I wanted to move out of Qatar, and that's where he sort of enticed me with the vision of CargoTech. Trying to be the facilitator and the player to offer a one-stop solution, and doing something to change the industry. But being in the airline is something that is a one-sided.
Yep.
But being in CargoTech, I could actually approach the wider market, and that's what really enticed me to take up this offer. Yeah.
You come with a significant years of experience. Briefly, you touched upon your experience in AirAsia, then with Qatar Airways in the cargo division, particularly driving digital transformation projects. So, what are you looking forward to do at CargoTech?
So firstly, I think when I came on board, and during the first month of the onboarding, um, you know, is consisting of people who are already cargo experts,
Correct.
right? So I think I can't come in and say that I have 30 years of experience.
Yeah.
So that's number one. But because of the openness of the people and the way that they are looking at problems in the cargo industry, uh, they are very passionate and wanting to solve a lot of these challenges, right? And for me, I think coming on board, trying to sort of bring my experience from a strategy, from a project management standpoint, from a transformation standpoint. This is where I think we could work very well together, because CargoTech is not just one company, but it's consisting of 5 companies that has sort of different levels of maturity, to be able to sort of find a working model amongst different experts, and of course many of them are co-founders themselves. It's also different personalities and different vision, right? And my role over here is basically a lot to do with how we can synchronize some of this. Yep.
Michael, your last job was with the world's biggest carrier, biggest cargo carrier, Qatar Airways Cargo, and your specific role was actually leading the cargo transformation projects in Qatar Airways Cargo. And probably, I'm sure that you worked with the different multiple vendors in terms of various part of the digital transformation journey of Qatar Airways Cargo. What would be some of the most relevant learnings from the biggest carrier, that cargo carrier that you worked with, and how would you utilize those in the cargo tech's plans and the vision?
So I think firstly from CargoTech standpoint, the approach is always looking at what's the problem, what's the gap, and from the problems is where the opportunity comes. Similarly, when I was in my role in Qatar Airways, it was the same approach as well back then, because end of the day, Qatar Airways, as you know, they grew to the size that they are today in a very short span of time, right? So I think challenges along the way, gaps in terms of making things more efficient, making things more effective, and speed to market. It's key back then. But in terms of the cargo tech boat now, where we see is basically the portfolio of companies are across the value chain. So now it's mainly more commercial. but the problems in different, flows of the commercial process is what CargoTech is trying to solve, right? So the approach is going back to the similar portion as well, where we look at problems within the value chain, and we ask ourselves and we look for partners who are wanting people to help them to solve, right? So you have airlines, or you have forwarders, or you have even ground handlers, for example, who come to CargoTech and say that, I have problems ABC. Is that something that you could help us solve, right? Typically in a technology company, we probably go down the approach to say, this is my product off the shelf, we can help you, right? But I think the approach from CargoTech first is more so, yes, we do hear your problems. Tell us a bit more about what are your problems, right? Because maybe the product off the shelf is not something that meets 100% of their requirements. And that's what we see a lot nowadays, because I think when it comes to digital adoption, companies or airlines, for example, are approaching it at different speed based on the organization's support. So for us, looking at the problems, understanding the problems, listening to what they have, and from there we, hopefully in some areas we co-develop. The easiest way is we already have off the shelf, but I think that's getting less and less in the current times, because technology is just moving too fast in that sense. Yeah.
As you move around the exhibition area, meet with different customers, airlines, airport forwarders, other technology service providers, what's the kind of major themes that you're picking up in terms of the air cargo industry's appetite for digital transformation?
So I think to address from the business point of view
Yep.
first, I think what we see today, and this is not just in cargo, the airline as a whole, Airbus and Boeing, have challenges in terms of, meeting the orders from all the airline.
Correct.
So from a capacity standpoint, that's the first challenge, that whether you're passenger only or you're passenger and freighter, that's the first challenge that you have. So in order for them to say, based on the assets that I have and the assets that are probably not coming, what else and how else can I manage my business, right? And that's where the question of technology comes into play, to say, based on the assets and what I have in hand, how can technology help me to either solve challenges or to make more money, right? Of course, end of the day, commercially it has to make sense, but the question is, how do we mix and match that? And that's why I think the teams, of what I see, and based on a couple of airlines that I've met, and also the customers, is a question of how can CargoTech, based on its portfolio of products and services, 15 for now, how can it help solve some of these challenges that we have? Rotate also has another arm, which is more consulting,
Correct.
which I think that's also the starting point, because these are the questions that they pose, right? To say, in the next coming 3 to 5 years, I have a constraint. How can you help us to sort of bridge some of that constraint? So those conversations are taking place. Last point to add is, I think there's a lot of talks about e-commerce today. So the question is, how's that going to play out 3 years from now, 5 years from now? But I think from a CargoTech approach standpoint, we don't solve problems because of e-commerce, for example. We solve problems from a standpoint of booking process, revenue management, capacity forecasting. How do we make it more efficient? Those are the way that we're looking, from that angle.
Michael, what are your reflections about the future of freight? I'm saying future of freight, including all modes of transport. You could also reflect on specifically on air freight in the context of rapidly evolving artificial intelligence technology transformation, digital tools be provided. It's a kind of very rapid evolution of those technologies. What would be your reflection about the future of freight, maybe with specific reflections into the air freight?
Okay, so I think to take that, today in our daily lives, we expect everything, real time, right? You wake up in the morning, you look at your WhatsApp messages, you look at the news, you already know what's happening, right? And going back to the e-commerce standpoint, when people buy, people want it. I want it tomorrow, or if can, I want it now, right? So air cargo, for example, is facilitating in between the entire process, right? You have Alibaba China, who wants to deliver across the world in 72 hours. So that's the expectation, right? The question now is, how do we bridge some of this? Is it possible from a CargoTech standpoint to support that? But from the expectation on the market in terms of speed, I think that's key. The other angle is, having data at your fingertips, right?
Yeah.
I think the approach, for a lot of the, partners and airlines that we have spoken to, data is indeed crucial, but to which level in the organization you get access to what kind of data to help you from a decision-making standpoint, or even to help you to, facilitate internal, productivity improvements, performance management. So data is key, and I think it's going to require more than that as we move forward because of AI, and how you can layer AI to give you more insights from the data that you have as well. So it's moving in that direction as we move forward. Yeah.
Michael, thank you so much for joining this interview, and I'd like to wish you all the best in your new endeavor.
Thank you, Reji.
Thanks.
Pleasure.